Good morning to everyone, the esteemed officers and members of the Philippine College of Canine Practitioners, the very first veterinary specialty college in the Philippines, currently headed by a fellow Tabaqueño and a good friend, your president, Dr. Joff Carullo, past presidents and officers of PCCP, especially to the family of the late Dr. Enrique Carlos, Dr. Rodora Shapno Carlos, and Dr. Sixto Carlos and family. As was mentioned earlier, the Carlos siblings were my schoolmates in Benedictine Abbey, and past the second daughter was my batchmate in Bene. Dr. Robert Law, representatives from the PMVA, honored guests, and animal lovers. I deeply apologize for being late. You had to move the schedule around. I misread the invitation given to me by Doc Joff. I thought that the venue would be at SM Mall of Asia. So I was there and rushed to Taguig and finally I'm here. So thank you for adjusting your schedule. It is truly an honor to stand before you today during your first PCCP postgraduate conference, surrounded by people whose work may not always make the headlines, but whose hands and hearts keep the world gentler and kinder. When Doc Joff first invited me to speak at this conference, I asked myself, why me? Perhaps it is because that Doc Joff knows that my undergrad in UP Diliman was zoology, and I am a nurse and in the healing profession, just like your profession. Or was it because I am a good friend of the family from Tabaco? Or perhaps because he saw firsthand the anxiety and helplessness I experienced when I brought Mojito, my Chihuahua, from Tabaco during the pandemic and lockdown to his clinic in Pasig for expert intervention that was unavailable in Albay. Or perhaps all of the above. By the way, Doc Joff saved Mojito from a deadly case of parvovirus infection, and I am deeply, deeply grateful to Doc Joff. Can we just applaud Doc Joff and his expertise? And now as I face all of you today, I ask, what can I possibly say to people who have already devoted their lives to healing, to those who serve not for applause, but for love? Then I remembered something simple. I remember the eyes of my own dog every time I opened the front door after a long day at work. The look that says, "Thank you for coming home." That look, that silent gratitude, it's what you see every single day in your work. And it's the same love that drives you, no matter how long your shifts are, no matter how tired you get, no matter how many times your heart breaks when a patient does not make it. That kind of love that is sacred. You see, as a pet owner, I know the peace you bring to homes, the peace that you have brought to my home. And as a legislator, I know the impact you bring to a country like ours. Every vaccine, every surgery, every act of kindness you give ripples beyond the clinic. You protect families, you safeguard food security, you prevent outbreaks, you nurture the bond that teaches every child that kindness is a responsibility, not just a feeling. Veterinarians are not just doctors of animals. You are healers of humanity. Because when we learn to care for those who cannot speak, we become better stewards of those who can. Today, as I look around and I see more than professionals. I see dreamers, innovators, and guardians. I see people who choose a harder path because it was the right one. A path that required not only intelligence, but also a heart. Because you see, to heal, you must first feel. Is this Sixto? Diba si Sixto? Hi, Sixto. And this is where the value of education truly comes to light. Education gives you the structure and the discipline to practice with precision, compassion, and integrity. It builds the foundation of your profession and strengthens your sense of responsibility. But learning does not end here. And this is what PCCP is all about: raising the standard of veterinary medicine, honoring the highest level of skill and dedication, inspiring us to dream bigger, aim higher, and serve better. And the learning continues as every patient you comfort, every owner you reassure, every moment of care you give are continuing lessons in empathy, sensitivity, and compassion. These are the values that cannot be taught by formal education alone, but are learned through experience, through love, and through the quiet understanding that every life deserves dignity and every life deserves care. This is the union of knowledge and kindness that makes your profession not only a science, but a calling, one that heals both animals and humanity alike. And you, my dear veterinarians, you feel everything. The pain of loss, the joy of recovery, the gratitude of every pet owner whose world you've just saved. I want you to know that we see you. Even when you think the world forgets, we remember. And as your ally in Congress, I want you to know that this is not only your fight, it is our fight. When you ask for better support, better systems, better recognition, you are not asking for privilege, you are asking for fairness. And that is something every profession deserves. To our partners from veterinary companies and animal health industry, thank you. You are the silent engines behind every innovation, every test kit, every medicine that gives a life another chance. Your collaboration with our veterinarians is not just commerce, it is compassion in action. And compassion, when it becomes collective, changes all of us. This conference is a beautiful gathering of hearts and minds. It reminds us that progress is not built by power alone. It is built by people who choose to care. By people like you who wake up every morning and say, I will make the world kinder today. Before I close, let me just say this. I know how it feels to lose a pet, to feel the silence in a room that used to be filled with tiny footsteps and wagging tails. And every time I've gone through that pain, there's always a veterinarian beside me, steady, compassionate, holding space for both science and sorrow. That is who you are. And that is why this profession will always have my respect, my gratitude, and my full support. Let us continue to work together, lawmakers, veterinarians, companies, and pet owners, to build a nation where no act of care is ever small and no creature, however silent, is ever unseen. Because in the end, Greatness is not measured by how much we build, but how deeply we love. Congratulations to the Philippine College of Canine Practitioners for this inspiring milestone. And to everyone here, thank you for making our world more compassionate, every heartbeat at a time. Maraming salamat po, Diyos mabalos. Mabuhay ang mga Pilipinong veterinaryo at mabuhay ang puso ng ating profesyon. Diyos mabalos po.